Bienvenidos a una emisión más de Globedades, un podcast de la Facultad de Estudios Globales de la Universidad Anáhuac, México. Mi nombre es Arturo Flores y el día de hoy tenemos un invitado muy especial. Rey Jímenez nos acompaña desde Los Ángeles y estaremos hablando de la influencia latina en Los Ángeles, en particular, bueno, algunas cuestiones enfocadas a México por obvias razones que ustedes escucharán en este podcast del día de hoy. Ray, great to have you again in this podcast. How are you?
Very good, Arturo. Thank you again. I think it's a really good. You picked a really good topic for the culture, the Mexican culture, and I just came across one thing in my head. I think you need to come with your cameraman to Los Angeles so we can show you what it's like on downtown LA, right there by the produce market. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
I would love to do that. I will find some money from a producer so that we can go and record all that because I'm sure it's very interesting, as you said, and I think that our audience will love that. But first of all, Ray, you have lived all your life in LA, and you know about, well, you deal with people on a daily basis because of your work. And how have you seen these changes in the influence or the influences of culture from Latino countries in LA in particular?
I can think of one person that created a phenomenon, and unfortunately, we just lost this person, Fernando Valenzuela.
Oh, wow. Yes, yes, yes. I agree with
Fernando Valenzuela, and actually, my dad and I had the opportunity to play golf with him and a good friend from the produce market in Oxnard. So I actually met him personally, and we were together for about 5 hours. So very nice man, very pleasant, very humble. What he did for baseball and the Dodgers
you.
was just amazing. They don't call it Fernando Mania for nothing. It just exploded. The Latino culture would just had their hero right there in front of them. They had him right there in Los Angeles, and so that was an amazing event. How he came to be the pitcher in that game, because the pitcher that was going to start, he couldn't. He was injured, and then he ends up. I think he throws a shutout, which was just like, how could
Yeah.
you can't start any better way than that? Not in baseball.
Yeah. So, so how is the influence of Latino culture these days? Because I think culture. I think it's something that is evolving the whole time, and you have different influences and different trends happening. Uh, but today, how do you feel in LA? Which are the main influences, and how does it like affect your daily lives?
Let me kind of go back to when I was in junior high. My whole name is Jose Reynaldo Jimenez Jr. Okay,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
think you can get more Mexican than that.
No.
Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. But because I grew up, they call us pochos because we're born of Mexican American heritage in the United States.
Hmm.
And as a young child, I looked as myself as a white person, but I'm actually not, because we're kind of not 100% accepted by the Caucasians, and we're not 100% uh, um, received by the immigrants that come over, and their children come over as like first generation. It's kind of like there's a
In the middle, you are like in the middle of.
we're in the middle. We're in the middle. We're Americans. We're Mexican Americans, and so and something that is really embarrassing. My friends and I, we used to chase the Mexican kids. It
Hmm.
was a game, not to
Okay.
beat them, or it was just something that we did during our break time. but it's really ironic if you look back at uh, Jose Jimenez, Ruben Razo,
Hmm.
the all these all these kids with Mexican names, and we're chasing other kids with Mexican names just to play, just to have fun. So because there was a separation of us there. In
Hmm.
LA, we have a ton. We have Mexicans, we have Guatemalans, we have El Salvadorians. I mean, there is a huge Hispanic influence on Los Angeles, and you can almost not go down one street and not see a taco stand, or or carnitas de Michoacan, or I worked in LA for 25 years at night, and almost 100% of the pushers of the produce there were Mexican, or Mexican Americans, you know.
Hmm.
So it was we were just saturated. Los Angeles is saturated with Hispanic, with Mexico, and all these other Latin countries, and you can see it in the food. You can see it in the businesses that are there in the market. I mean, it's just amazing how much culture is there on the streets in LA, and we see it every day.
And do you think that there is like, um, of course, I think I've been in LA several times, and I think, well, Mexican culture prevails a bit because of, for the amount of people, Mexicans, that live there. um, but I mean, there are influences of other countries as well. In your perspective, like, which will be, after the Mexicans, of course, the country after Mexico that has got like the influence in LA?
I think I maybe just because I've been more exposed to it, I would think the Salvadorian people.
Salvador, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because one of our favorite foods is pupusas, and
Mm.
yuca frito con chicharrón, and
Ah, wow, that's
yeah.
nice.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's. I hope I don't make you hungry right now.
No, but it's very interesting how people can connect through food, actually,
Oh,
because food becomes like a common language in many ways.
it is.
And when we were talking about the tacos and all these things, when we met, I think that it's part of even humankind. It's linked to this food thing, that you are like, you want to give your best to the other, offer it to the other,
Right.
and one way of doing that is through food. I think it's one of the most important efforts that one could make to demonstrate, like respect, affection, or any kind of feeling that you have towards someone. I think food becomes an important element.
Yeah. Well, the Bible says that we need to be hospitable. We need to be hospitable to our neighbor, and you're right. One of the best ways to show that is through cooking. I get so much pleasure cooking food for other people, and just watching them eat,
Mhm.
and hopefully enjoying what I put before them. To me, that gives me great joy, and I think that's because we're good. We're doing God's work, by doing that. Yeah, the food in LA, I mean, you can go through Instagram. My son-in-law is in LA right now selling produce, and we're both foodies. So we're sending videos of all these different restaurants that are sending their videos on Instagram, and it is just. I mean, it's limitless. Seriously, what you could find in just in Los Angeles.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think you have a very, very good offer of street food. I think the street food that you have in LA is one of the best that I've seen, in because you have a very strong influence from Latin American countries, but also you have from all over the planet. Basically, you have all types of influences there, and it's very interesting how you have this like cultural mix of flavors, which
Mhm.
is actually happening the whole time.
Right, right.
And also, I wanted to ask you about, for example, do you think that um, like the American cuisine or the American way of cooking or the American, how can we call it, like the original traditional US kitchen is receiving, or how do they receive all these influences? Do they take them in? Do they reject them? Or how does it work?
I think that I think sometimes with our fast-paced world that we're in, I think the one thing that suffers the most is actually the home cooking.
Home
Okay,
cook, okay?
home cooking, because you say let's get back to the basic foods in the home. Things that you learn from your mother, from your grandmother. Um, those things. That type of cooking takes time. You have to get the ingredients, you have to know how to put them together and cook them, and so I think a lot of these young professionals, they don't get time to go back to their roots. They don't get time to, maybe on special occasion like the Thanksgiving dinner that I mentioned to you. uh,
Hmm.
it is our dinners are a full affair: turkey, ham, uh, yams, stuffing, gravy, mashed potato, vegetables, salad. I mean, it's a huge. It takes me 2 days to. I have to start the
Wow.
night before, and then I usually finish all the preparation, and the food is ready usually by like 2 o'clock the next day. But I have to start the night before, otherwise it won't be ready.
Wow. I promise to not be here too long for too long so that you can go and start cooking that because it sounds
Yes,
it's
yeah,
take
believe
a
me.
while that
Yeah, yeah.
that
My
way.
mom's my mom's stuffing is torn French bread with
Yeah.
rosemary, uh,
Mm.
about probably 5 pounds of butter, uh,
Wow.
giblets, mollejas, uh,
Wow.
either chicken or turkey meat, and gravy on top. I mean the broth on top, and it
Mm.
is something that is amazing. Also, black olives. It's just amazing. It is amazing.
It sounds very, very nice. Well, just a reminder to the people who are watching this podcast. This is Globedades, a podcast from Faculty of Global Studies at Universidad Anáhuac, Mexico. My name is Arturo Flores, and today we have a very nice conversation. We are having a very nice conversation with Rey Jímenez. We are talking about Latino influence in the U.S., especially in the L.A. area. And Ray, which other aspects of culture do you think that have been affected by this influence, by the Latino influence in LA?
Well, always there's always a negative aspect to that. I think, like I had mentioned to you, how my the pochos are disassociated sometimes. The first generation children of from Mexico or even from other countries, they sometimes they have a hard time associating. Either they don't associate with their customs from their parents, they don't associate with the children that are here, and I think that's where we get these offshoots, and these people are trying to be acknowledged. So unfortunately, sometimes they get acknowledgement through these gangs, and that's just that's just a bad part. In every society, there's always something that goes awry, and I think it's really sad because it would be better that they find better ways to let their energy out uh, through sports. The parents, the migrant parents are probably busy working, and they don't have time to put their children in baseball or soccer or football and give them this direction to try to go to junior college or college. So these children, they get lost in the system. And I think that's just one of the negative aspects of it. The positive things, I mean, you have plenty of children. I love seeing. I saw this young lady that graduated. I don't know if she became a doctor or what she did, but she made a point of wearing her graduation gown in the field with her parents. You
Mm.
know, so I don't think any of us are ever ashamed of our parents. They earn an honest living, no matter where they do it. I think it is something to be proud of.
Proud of, yeah, for
Proud of.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
So when you see successes like that, where these young children take the opportunities that are available here, and that's success right there. That's what the American dream is all about. And
Mm.
it's for and I believe that it is for everybody, no matter where you're from. Doesn't matter. You can be successful here.
Yeah, and you mentioned the case of Valenzuela, which is of course Mexican Idol. But through sports, I think that we have also like seen in the last years this influence from Latino culture having this impact, having famous baseball players or soccer players as well. And I think that's a way in which the culture of Latin America is also being shared in these types of sports, right?
Yeah, look at the professional soccer.
Hmm.
We have the Galaxy. I mean, these companies are embracing the things that are, soccer is worldwide, and
Yeah.
so they would be foolish to not embrace these things that bring the people. They bring the people together. The World Cups and all these things. I mean, they just have phenomenal turnout and a phenomenal following when these tournaments are happening, especially when Mexico is playing in LA. Are you kidding? Everybody is either listening or watching it. No matter where they're at work or I mean, there's just such a phenomenal loyalty to your country, because and especially when it comes to sports, because that's a very passive way to compete and to finish. You have a loser, you have a winner, but they're still friends. It's
Hmm.
not like a war where you have a battle and the war, one side wins and the other side is defeated. Well, you lose. You just have to do better next time, right?
Yeah, and you have another chance next weekend.
Yes, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, through sports, I think it's a good way to have this mix of cultures.
Right,
I
right.
think I think now that you mentioned soccer in the U.S., yeah, I'm very surprised by how the very large numbers of people that go to the stadiums actually in the US to watch a soccer game.
Yes,
Like that has changed because that it wasn't seen before. I think it has like maybe 10 years, 12 years perhaps,
right,
that you started to see this change in increasing number of people going to watch a soccer game, which it didn't used to happen before.
right, right. What comes to mind is there's a champion, an MMA champion, right? A female from Mexico.
Mm.
I mean, it's just amazing, that how sports brings people together. My daughter was a wrestler in high school. I mean, wrestling for girls wasn't really that well known, and it is just huge now. especially up in the up in the Central Valley, like where all these grapes and plums and peaches and a lot of fruit. I mean, those towns have raised some really
Mhm.
powerful young ladies. You know, both Caucasian and Hispanic. My
Wow.
daughter's last match was against a young lady. Her last name was Diaz. You know, the last match of her career in high school was for third or fourth place in the state of California.
Hmm.
So, and that was a really good match. So, I just, I always talk to young ladies, young men, and I tell their parents, make sure that you push them into sports. Have them do their academics as best they can. Sometimes, you know, it's a little harder for some of these kids for their academics, but if they can excel in a sport, then they can find their way into a college or a university.
Yeah, because that's very common in the U.S. to do that, like
Yes,
to be
yes,
talented at sports and then get a scholarship and then
exactly,
uh,
exactly,
get a degree and just get a life. In fact, because out
exactly.
out of being good at sports, you end up, you know, with a degree, and sports, well, are not forever, like professionally speaking. We all
Right,
know. So it's always good to have this, this professional background as well as part of, your formation. I think that's
exactly.
crucial. So going back to our topic today of the culture and the way Latinos have influenced or influence culture in LA. Do you think that, like, is there going to be, or are you going to have, like, the same things that you have in Mexico? Do they taste actually the same in the US, do you think?
As
Like,
far as you're talking about the foods,
I'm talking about the foods, yeah. Do you think the because I have tasted tacos in both sides, and they don't taste the same. I don't know if
no,
you agree with this.
you're right. When we go down to Tijuana and we have, they're specialists at putting the tortilla together, putting throwing the salsa, then a shot of guacamole, and wrap it in a paper and put, six
Yeah,
tacos on a plate. I mean,
yeah,
that's an art, right?
yeah.
And yes, they do taste different. They do taste different. There are some excellent tacos on the street in LA, and we know where they're at, especially right around our area.
Mm-hmm.
There's one gentleman that he hasn't been coming lately, but he does tacos al vapor, cabeza, tacos de cabeza al
Oh, nice,
vapor.
nice, nice.
And I tell you what, it's probably one of the best cabeza tacos that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in fact, my son-in-law told me that he came looking for me the other day because every time he was there, I'd have to sneak off and at least get one. And my wife would get really upset because I'm not supposed to eat that many street tacos, but these tacos are amazing. So all that influence is from Mexico. Tacos al vapor, de cabeza. So but the ambiance in Mexico, when you go to Mexico and you're in Tijuana or Rosarito, I'm just thinking of the border towns because they're close
Yeah.
to us. We can be there in 3 hours. We can be there. So
Mhm.
there's that's the it just I don't know. You're right. It does taste different. The langosta in Puerto Nuevo,
Ah, yeah,
amazing,
yeah,
amazing. There's that one place you go in and it's always got a line, and they make handmade tortillas de harina, the salsa, arroz, frijol, and then
yeah,
the
yeah. And then the lobster.
the lobster. Phew, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think that it's. I mean, I'm not saying they are, like, better in one side or the other, but they do taste different.
Yes, they do. You're right.
They
You're right.
do, and I think it's part of, I don't know, even the temperature, the oil, the whatever. I don't know, something. Some some sort of magic just happens. And
How about in Germany? Do they taste different there?
in Germany as well, yes,
Yeah.
they tasted different because, of course, you have the ingredients are different, and also, well, the even the temperature, even the type of pan that you use, everything has an impact
Yes.
in the
Yes.
in the final process. In those days, I was trying to do like the most like Mexican version
Right.
of every dish, but still, it was difficult in many ways because, of course, you had to adapt.
Yeah.
So it took me a few weeks to find some fresh coriander, for example.
Oh wow. Wow.
And but then I finally found a Chinese shop that they had it, so they became my friends because they had fresh green chilies, red chilies, and cilantro.
Nice. Very good.
So I became a regular for them,
Excellent.
just buying the same three things.
Exactly. Exactly. It wasn't serrano or
No, no, no.
jalapeno.
It was
It
it
was
it
Thai
was a
chili or
yeah, it was a long one.
yes.
The the green one, a thin long one,
Yes.
and then the red one was like really short and round,
Right.
and
Wow.
that chili is very extremely hot.
I could imagine. I could
It's
imagine.
extremely hot, extremely hot. It's even hotter than habanero, I think. It's
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Interesting.
but you end up, well, I had to use that because I couldn't find any other, so you end up having a new flavor.
Sure.
Is what we are just talking about, how a culture actually changes, and you start like adapting new things, new flavors, and you end up maybe with a whole new recipe with the same ingredients but tasting a bit different because, of course, they in the end they are going to be different. But I think it's a very interesting mix, the influence that we're having, even here in Mexico City where I live, is you see the influence of other cultures in our dishes, in our, it's happening the whole time. So
Right.
it's not only from Latino countries to other places, or it's a constant mix, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Ray, it has been a pleasure talking to you again about uh, culture and its influence in LA. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did,
I did enjoy it. It was very, very a pleasure to talk with you about these topics. Thank you.
and we shall meet soon again. I think we will have you uh, regularly in these emissions of Globedades in the very near future.
Thank you very much, Arturo. Whatever I can help, I would be a pleasure. And I'd like to ask God to watch over you, your family, and your endeavors here. Okay, because I
Thank
think you're doing a very beautiful thing.
thank you very much, and we'll be in touch. Well, this is Globedades, a podcast of the Faculty of Global Studies at Universidad Anáhuac, Mexico. My name is Arturo Flores, and we shall meet in the next emission. Take care in the meantime. Bye bye.